In today's competitive real estate market, standing out is more important than ever. One of the top frustrations of new agents is having to chase clients as opposed to a client's chasing them. You have to really turn yourself into a lead magnet so business naturally flows to you because of your expertise and authority. And even if you're a brand new real estate agent that just got their real estate license, you can still stand out as a voice of authority. We're going to talk about exactly how to do that today. So thank you for tuning in. Let's head over to the board here and talk about building the ultimate real estate brand. So when you think about a brand, you think about a real estate brand, what probably comes to mind is this right here. Generic marketing. Maybe you're imagining a business card with a picture on it. Maybe you're imagining somebody maybe in like some sort of polo shirt or a suit and tie, or there's some image that comes into your mind. And that may be a very generic image, or if there is somebody that's maybe farming your own neighborhood, a real estate agent that's maybe sending mailing pieces, and they're doing this correctly, building a brand of authority when it relates to real estate. And this doesn't have to just be postcards or letters in the mail. This can involve social media, online. We're going to talk about a lot of different avenues you have to promote yourself as a real estate expert, as a voice of authority that people look to for guidance whenever they think about anything real estate. And that's when you're going to get beyond just your generic marketing. We're not just talking about cut and paste templates that look good on your company's template or some custom design. It's not about how fancy your business card looks, but it is about it all comes back to one key thing. Does this promote you as a voice of authority? And is there a better way to be able to use this marketing piece to further promote you as a voice of authority? Because that's when you're going to cut through the noise of generic marketing. You know, anybody could share a house that is listed for sale. And there's tons of houses on there. And if someone wants to look at houses, honestly, they're usually just going to go to Zillow. Or maybe Realtor.com or Homes.com or whatever one it is that they like the best. Maybe just because they like the color scheme or somebody sent them a link from it and that's what their friends use. Who knows why? But if you are only a showcaser of homes, a showcaser of real estate, which is a great thing to do to attract and hook people in, but you're not going to be able to reel them in if you're just relying on that generic marketing. And so how do you get past the generic marketing? Number one, you've got to understand the importance of your branding and what it is designed to accomplish. So let's zoom in on this first one here. Number one is recognition. More than anything else, your brand should help you get recognized. And that's where the finer details of your brand, such as the colors being used. You might notice these colors. These are very familiar colors for Tampa School of Real Estate. They're on-brand colors, and that does help promote memorability. It will also help increase visibility because as people remember that color scheme, it will help people remember. But it's what those colors actually stand for. And that's where we move on to the second point here, which is trust, the credibility of lasting relationships. So this is where things like your 5-star reviews come into play, your testimonials. Because if you're not being personally referred by another person, likely there's no trust already established. So your marketing, your brand needs to establish trust and social proof. So that way you appear as credible and that you already have existing long-standing relationships, and this audience member of your advertisement could be the next. So you pair those two things together, recognition and trust, and you've already got a powerful combo. And this is how a lot of agents are able to get by, just because, okay, you get some reviews and testimonials, you get some recognition in terms of you're using the same colors, it's the same photos of you, or you look the same, enough where people can recognize, where there's memorability among your clients and potential clients. Because remember, you don't want to just focus on new business, you also want to draw in your past clients, so that way they can personally recommend you to friends and family, because those are still going to be your most premium leads when they're handed to you by someone specifically, as opposed to just someone naturally coming into your gravitational pull through your marketing. That's what this does. You're creating a gravitational pull. But honestly, this is more the gravitational pull. This just lets them see what they're moving towards. So the referrals are a big part of the trust. These two go hand in hand. And even if you haven't specifically done business with somebody, they could still refer you business, because maybe it's just not the right time for them yet. They've got to get their finances, their credit, get a little bit more money saved up, waiting for a promotion at work to get a raise, whatever it might be, that they're in a holding pattern essentially. But if you've provided a premium level of expertise, of authority, of trust, you'll get referrals even if you haven't done business with that person yet. And that's how you know you have that person won over for their business, because they're already sending you other business. And that, for a lot of agents, doesn't come until after they get a client. But if, again, you do this correctly, you take care of them as if they were a friend, a family member, and even better, honestly, imagine them treating them better than any of your friends or family members, and that's the level of customer service that's going to help you tie in point number 4 here, is the differentiation. Because it's with these things coming together here, the network of people that is being built between the trust and the referrals, and again, that going hand in hand and building your base. And that's where you start to offer your core values and unique offerings that do make you stand out. And that is going to be a central pillar to all of this. We've got the recognition and your branding, your logos, your colors, your fonts, everything that is visual should be on brand in terms of fitting the recognition that you're ultimately trying to achieve. You're going to have what makes you stand out, what differentiates you from all the other agents that are out there, the service it is that ultimately provide, and really the biggest differentiation is being a voice of authority as it relates to real estate. Whether that's through blog posts, that could be through videos, both short form, your TikToks, your Reels, your Shorts, and long form, such as YouTube videos or videos that you're posting to Facebook, or maybe you're doing webinars or Zoom calls or those types of things. Those are going to what allow you to pump information out to the masses. And then when people consume that information, they're going to come back to you and say, okay, hey, I saw your video, I read your article on X, Y, and Z, and I was thinking I wanted to do A, B, C. You keep leaning into these 4 pillars: recognition, differentiation, establishing trust, and asking for referrals, because this is a key component to keeping your past clients and everyone in your sphere of influence looking out for you, because they're looking for business for you. And so, again, treating them better than your friends, better than your family members, which I know can sound absurd, but it's nothing personal, it's just business. Because that will help you establish trust with your client base, so they recognize you and understand why you're different and better. Now, one of the key things that's going to help you further define this, especially if you're new, is defining what your niche is, what your specialty is, and who is your target audience. Who are you ultimately after? What type of transaction, what type of client, first-time home buyers, investors, getting down even to the neighborhood when we're talking about farming strategies. And so, ultimately, reverse engineering what you want your business to look like, and then ultimately who your customers are in that business model. Who is benefiting from the service that you're providing? Are you specializing in working with first-time home buyers? Because if you are, that's going to help you define the type of content that you put into your blog, into your social media, into the short-form videos, into the long-form videos, into your email newsletters, into your email drip campaigns, into your text message campaigns, into your complimentary ebook that you're offering. And you're like, well, how do I write an ebook? I mean, look, it could be like a 10-page type of document that just walks them through your process of serving them as a buyer or serving them as a seller. You have custom tailored marketing plans that are pre-written. And when people consume that information, they say, wow, look how much this agent knows. But you have to define what is your niche and who is your target audience, because that is what will clue you in on what content you need to put out. That will help you refine your focus of ultimately what you're doing to attract new clients. Because you're not just putting random stuff out there hoping it attracts something, someone, some sort of deal. You're putting very targeted and very specific information that'll appeal to a certain group of people. Whether, again, that's a first-time home buyer, an investor, somebody interested in a particular neighborhood of what life is like in a certain city. If you're all over the place, you're not going to get a well-defined audience, and you're not going to get the retention, the saturation, the repetition that is ultimately going to lead to the recognition of your brand and them falling into your gravitational pull. Because if you don't provide any value to them, they look the other way. They look other places. If you want to draw them in, if you want to have a gravitational pull, you need to be putting information and content out there that's going to draw in your ideal customers. And that's where we move on to this next step here of crafting your brand message. What ultimately is it that your brand does for clients? And as you define, again, maybe we're talking about first-time home buyers. My brand helps first-time home buyers achieve the dream of home ownership through education, through knowledge, through empowerment, through understanding programs that are out there, through working with key targeted individuals that are specialized in working with first-time home buyers, whether that be from title, from lending, from credit repair, from all the different resources you could pull together for your clients and potential clients. That's going to help you further define what your mission is, what your goal is to accomplish. And say you get a deal that falls in your lap that's not a first-time home buyer. Can you still work with them? Absolutely. And that's likely going to happen just because you're putting out marketing and you have a very specific brand message regarding a very specific area. Again, let's use that example of first-time home buyers. That doesn't mean that you don't still get investors that are interested in working with you, or people that are not first-time home buyers that are looking to upgrade their home, that are maybe moving into the area, moving out of the area, whatever it may be. Because as you deliver on the information that your audience is craving, your message starts to spread even beyond who that message was intended for. And that's where you'll get other business where it'll be your choice as to whether or not you have the time and the ability to serve that client and their needs, or if it makes more sense to refer that in exchange for a referral fee to another agent who could ultimately serve them. Say this is somebody that's watching your videos and they love your videos, but they're looking to do a commercial real estate transaction. And let's say you only do residential strictly. Maybe you focus again on the first-time home buyers. You could try to stumble your way through this commercial deal. You'll learn a lot. That's definitely a thing, but you'll learn this information the hard way, and that's usually not the fun way, because often the hard way ends up with not getting paid in real estate, since we don't get paid until the closing typically. So it's not great to learn things the hard way. What makes a lot more sense, in my opinion, would be to refer that transaction, that deal, to a commercial real estate expert who is more well-versed, who has access to the necessary tools, because there are different tools available for commercial real estate agents, and who could ultimately serve that client better than you ever could in your current position. And not only can you get better representation for this client than you could be able to provide, but you could be paid for it with a referral fee. You contact the commercial agent that you're interested in referring this to and say, hey, I've got a client that wants to buy a strip plaza. I really don't have the time to dabble in commercial right now, so I wanted to find someone competent and qualified that I could refer them to. And, it looks like you've got some great reviews. It looks like you've done some transactions. You could look all this stuff up as real estate agents. And I would like to refer them to you. Would you be interested in this client in exchange for a 25% referral fee paid at closing? And you negotiate what that amount is. I've signed agreements anywhere from 5% to 50%, so it's negotiable on a transactional or whatever type of relationship you want to develop basis. As long as you have an active real estate license, you could earn those referral fees. And that's what you do with these excess leads that don't necessarily fit your business model. Like I said, if it's not too outside of it, maybe it's not a first-time home buyer, but it's somebody just that's moving up, they're just selling their home. Can you take a listing as a first-time home buyer specialist? Absolutely. And that listing is really probably going to help you maybe attract some first-time home buyers, especially if this is a listing that could appeal to first-time home buyers. And even if it isn't a listing that could appeal to first-time home buyers, it could still help attract you leads that if you're not the right agent for them, you could refer them to the right agent. But it is he or she who has the leads who ultimately gets to rule that decision of, do I work with them myself or do I refer them out to somebody else? Because there's a lot of agents that are out there that don't have a solid brand message, that don't have solid brand positioning of what they're ultimately there to do for their clients and to help them achieve. And so what happens then is they're just trying to look like a professional real estate agent. That's the generic marketing we were talking about earlier, but without specific brand messaging of who it is that you're ultimately trying to attract and bring in across all of your platforms, you're going to be falling into that cycle of having to chase after leads. So if you really want to maximize the magnetism and the gravitational pull that your brand has, that's where you really want to lean into a specific brand message. That's your mission, your unique value propositions, and ultimately how you serve your core client, your key person who this whole process is designed for. You build your business around that, and then it just becomes a machine of being able to service clients in the best way possible because things are predictable. There's a process. It's scalable. When you have a unique mission, a unique vision, a unique value proposition, you have something that others can use on your team that are different than you, different people, but you can live up to the same brand and the same brand expectations because they're clearly defined. Now, your online presence is going to be key because there is no more effective way to share your message than through the internet, through all the different social media platforms. Pump it out everywhere, onto YouTube, onto Facebook, onto Twitter or X or Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok or whatever platform that you can, through text messages, through emails, through good old-fashioned phone calls, through having a Google business profile, through anywhere it is that you can be online. And really going back to Google, because Google's a good way to visually see this, although what we also have to be preparing for is AI-powered search, ChatGPT-powered search, which what shows up and ranks highly on Google is already a pretty good indication of how easy it is to find information about your brand online. And I mean you specifically, not your brokerage, but your brand, for the leads that you own, for the base and audience it is that ultimately you're after. That is your brand that you should be able to search on Google. And a really easy way to rank highly, at least locally, is through a Google business profile. But you should also have your own website. It'd be great if that website had property search because that gives you a lot of capabilities to be able to get your clients onto that website and then track their activity of what properties they're looking at and really be working a lot more closely with them compared to if they're relying on platforms like Zillow and Realtor, which they'll probably still use even if you do have your own website. So keep that in mind. But the more you can get them onto your own site, spending time giving you that data instead of these third parties, that helps you be a more effective agent. And that's where you can even have your own app. You could have your own website. There's a lot that you could do. But starting out, because those property search websites and apps can get more expensive because they're a lot more complex than a basic landing page that just has your picture, your name, a story, some videos, some photos, things like that. You could build a basic like GoDaddy website or something along those lines for maybe 15, 20 bucks a month, Wix, any of these websites with your own custom domain, anything like that. And that's what's going to help you build your brand. Yes, it's great if they could search properties, but don't really worry about that. Don't worry about them being able to search properties. Just worry about getting your message out there so you could attract who you're ultimately after. It's great if you're making social media videos and you might be able to get some DMs. You probably will, because that's a very easy thing to do right there within that same platform. But you also have to understand there's people that are not comfortable using social media messaging channels, and they're going to look for a more professional brand. And that's where your website comes in to really showcase that, hey, I'm not just a social media realtor, I'm also professional. Look at my website. Browse these properties, read about me, watch my latest video, read my blog, read this article about being a first-time home buyer, read this article about this neighborhood, about this restaurant, watch this video, doing a food review. There's so many ways that you can really have fun with this, but also, again, focus this in on your key audience that you're after and ask them the question of, is this something my key audience would like to learn about? What would they like to hear? What would they want to know as it relates to whatever that topic is? And that's your engaging content. The engaging content, that's what a lot of people wonder of, well, how do I make my videos get views? How do I engage people? How do I get people to comment or like? If you don't have a very core key audience dialed in, a lot of times you're just talking to the air. Because if you're trying to talk to a room of everyone, your message usually isn't loud enough, unless you're throwing advertising dollars behind that. That's where like the big brands, the paper towel companies, the soda companies, all of these ones that you see on a regular basis, all the big fast food chains, the insurance companies, they can afford to advertise to the masses. But especially as a new agent that's starting out, that's going to be something completely out of reach to you. So don't try to talk to the room full of everyone in your city. You're trying to talk to all 3 million people in the Tampa Bay area. Again, your voice is going to sound very quiet amongst all this noise. But if you dial in your key audience, that is going to give you the blueprint to creating engaging content that will boost your brand. Maybe not even immediately. This is a long game a lot of times. A lot of agents give up on this too early, too quickly, as they're just starting to get good at it. Whether that's videos that you're doing, again, short form, long form, whatever, blog post. It could be farming, advertising a particular neighborhood where you're sending out mailers or postcards. You know, these things you want to plan for 12 months, 18 months of continuous, ongoing marketing and advertising and campaigning for your brand before you really start to see a return on your investment. Which that could sound like a long time, but if you have your key audience figured out and you have a mission, you have a purpose, you'll see these results faster. The more you could narrow this down, and then you could open it back up and widen it back out, and maybe even have some other content that appeals to other audiences. Maybe not just first-time home buyers. Maybe you have started working with some investors and you've got some great investment content you could provide, or content about selling your home, or whatever it may be. Maybe you start working with for sale by owners. You could shift and change over time, but don't just give up just because you haven't gotten business. If it's been 2 years and you haven't got anything, well, you probably want to make some changes a little bit sooner than that. You want to constantly be testing and measuring and following what works, whether that's views or comments on a video, or when you're asking people, hey, how did you hear about me? And they say X, Y, and Z, keep doing X, Y, and Z. And those other things that people are not saying, that are not proving to be driving you that business, question what can you do to better reach that audience that message was intended for? How can you tweak it? How can you change it? But don't give up on that audience. Keep doubling down, and it will pay back if you follow these key principles. If you stay on top of making sure this all aligns back to the brand that you've established for providing the service to this area, to these clients, to this audience. So if you want to learn more, not just about branding, but also about the contracts that you need to get started, about prospecting specifically to for sale by owners, about working with renters, about holding the best open houses, even the courses to get your real estate license and complete your new requirements, you get access to that all with TSRE Pro University. So you can find out more about this at realprou.com. That's realprou.com. Or you could always call into us, 813-333-2676. We also have plans for brokerages and teams. So if you have a team that you want to be able to provide this for, or for your entire brokerage, reach out to our advisors. I think we got the phone number right here. 813-333-2676. You can also sign up right online at tsre.us/plus. And I want to make one more quick mention. Take action today, and whether that's getting started with the 63-hour pre-licensing course to get your license, or taking your post-licensing to complete your first renewal and also establish your key business fundamentals that you're going to learn in post-licensing, because you want to take those next steps before this event on June 7th, the Florida Real Estate Career Fair. June 7th. It's happening in Lakeland here on June 7th. It's 12 to 2 p.m., so just 2 hours. Mark your calendar, but more importantly, get yourself registered at floridarealestatecareerfair.com. Again, that's floridarealestatecareerfair.com. Just put in your name, your email, and your phone number, and click register now. And we're presenting this event, the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're the presenting sponsor, and we're sponsoring the free admission to this event. There's going to be food, there's going to be drinks, there's going to be networking, there's going to be prizes, there's going to be recruiters from top real estate firms throughout the entire state. So find out more at floridarealestatecareerfair.com. Get yourself registered while we still have that limited free registration available. And if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, or advancing your real estate career, finding out more about branding, reach out to us, 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. It's about all the time that we've got for today. I want to thank you all for tuning in. We will be back on Friday for State of Real Estate, so make sure you're tuned in and subscribed for that. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Facebook, make sure you turn on notifications. LinkedIn, YouTube, all the different platforms that you could find our content on. And the best place really is tampaschoolrealestate.com. Put in your email, and we'll send you out an email whenever it is that we have information to help you advance your real estate career. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you on Friday for State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida Real Estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.